Hello guys, welcome back. Today we are going to be doing another episode of Block Wars. This is episode 20, so we've been through a lot. And last episode, the Lapis went crazy, and now they are called by the name of the Lapis Union. And the Obsidian had been turned into the Crying Obsidian. The Moss had regained all of their territory, and the Sponge have kind of taken over their territory, and the Netherite have seized control over the Emerald, and the Dark Prismarine and Prismarine are still growing. And so the Lapis are now just absolutely gargantuan. They are undeniably the largest nation ever, with an empire so much greater than anything seen before. And now they kind of are realizing the extent of their growth and power, and are very happy that they built such a massive empire. But they're not going to be doing that much growing this episode. They're more so going to be realizing what exactly they did, and their forces are going to kind of relocate themselves. But yeah. And the Moss did gain a tad bit more territory than they had before, but that's not much. The Moss are going to try and establish a more firm grip over the global hemisphere. So they are going to establish a new nation called the Leaves, the Nation of the Leaf, and so they are going to seize control over this area. With this, they found that nation. And they tear down the wall because they want this nation to be more unified, and so that they can kind of keep it as a puppet and also not need to have to control this specific area. But instead of controlling that, they decide that they want to control this massive mountain range and region. And they are slowly growing here. And their empire is just getting larger and larger. I guess it's not a total empire, but it's still kind of an empire. And they deploy soldiers to their walls to also help with the stability of this region. And they also put their soldiers in the Leaf civilization. And the Lapis are kind of worried about this because this is still definitely a threat to them, as now the Moss are trying to build kind of this new nation. And the Lapis have a clash with the Sponge, and the Crying Obsidian are not now gone, so we don't need them anymore. And so are the Emerald. But now the Sponge are launching their offensive, and the Lapis suffer casualties, and the Raw Gold are wiped off the map. And so the Lapis are forced to retreat from this position and are thrown back. But they still remember the Sponge for doing this, so they keep their soldiers on guard, prepared to attack the Sponge. the Sponge are starting to become a larger and more powerful nation. And while they're definitely still not anywhere near on the world stage in terms of power, they are still getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And they put their two generals on both of their kind of regions, and then put a third general out forward with 4 soldiers to guard him and to threaten the Lapis in their position. Of course, this does not actually scare the Lapis, as this is just 4 soldiers and a general. Not really anything to be worried about there. But it still is seen as a threatening gesture, and so the Lapis are not very happy about that. Now here, the Prismarine are kind of just sitting around, not really doing anything beneficial for their nation. They do decide to build a tad bit more and take a little bit more land. And so the Prismarine are now slowly growing larger, but very slowly, as they do not have resources or many resources to build and to grow. But over here, the Dark Prismarine are rapidly expanding, adding new territory and growth for their nation. And so the Dark Prismarine are just growing with a decent rate, their population and territory. And they decide they will up their military size a little bit, get another 2 soldiers just so that they don't have rebellions or anything. And the Netherite are only slightly growing as they had suffered heavy casualties. Well, not heavy casualties, but they suffered a little bit economically from that war. And they are not looking to do any more building for a little while. And they expand their military kind of influence a ton, going all across that mountain range. And this would shock you because of how close the Dark Prismarine are, but they don't know that the Dark Prismarine are even there, and it's still a decent distance from the Dark Prismarine, so they're not really scared. And the Moss decide that they're also going to grow this section out a little bit more. And since this mountain range protects them, it allows them to grow a lot and improve their border and the size of their nation. And so the Moss are very happy with that. The Moss Empire, should I say. But over here with the Netherrack, they are still very, very, very annoyed with how the Lapis had treated them. So they decide that they're going to build their tower even higher. And put soldiers up the tower to try and gain a even larger height advantage. Which, of course, completely shocks the Moss at the fact that they're still going to build higher than they already were. And they also gather more soldiers and build some homes up in the upper section of the tower. And so that is how they are going to slowly be building up their population in the tower. It's that they're going to build more and more floors to it, which is astonishing to every other nation, but it's how they're going to work. And it's just shocking to the Lapis. But meanwhile, south, far south, there is going to be a new nation. And they are not going to be a very smart civilization. They're going to be called the Cobblestone Civilization, and this is obviously very weak of them to call themselves the Cobblestone Civilization, but they just are called that. And yeah. So that is about it for this episode. Not much in terms of anything military clashes other than the Sponge and then the founding of a new nation via the Moss. But yeah, nothing really extremely important, but still enough to note the continuous growth of this kind of world. But I hope you guys liked the video, and please make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And yeah, so have a I keep on doing that. Have a good time, and yeah, see you guys next time for the next video, and bye.